Hi, I'm Fynnion, and today I wanted to real quick make a video with a little bit of commentary. Right now in the background you just see some matches of 2v8 I played, depending on how long this goes, how many matches are in there, I don't know. But most likely just Survivor, since it's easier to get into queues for that, and I currently don't have any like footage on hand that I can use for this. So, since the last couple of episodes of the Baby Killer series, I've been alluding to a DVD challenge that I want to do. I think as far back as the ending of The Lich, maybe even Dracula. I've done all of those last couple killers that I had to do so quickly, one after another. With me taking, of course, the long break while I was doing Lich. And I think it's time to talk about it. Because I wanted to do it. I have the episode for Springtrap complete. I'm almost finished editing it, and I'm gonna upload it probably later today, if not tomorrow, or at least in the next couple of days. And I thought that I was gonna start this challenge thingy. I can explain a little bit about it. I have a whole video planned on explaining the rules of this challenge. Basically, it's a Nuzlocke streak, in the sense that every killer has 1 lives, and if they die, I can't use them anymore. And then we look how far we can go with each killer in our roster, something along those lines. I'll explain that all in the rule video once I do the streak attempt. But then I got done with the Springtrap, and while I was still doing the Springtrap episode of the Baby Killer series, 2v8 released, and it bumped my killer queue times for the Springtrap up tremendously. Like, I could barely get into one match over a period of 10 minutes, and it's just most of the survivors are playing 2v8. Most of the killers are playing Survivor in 2v8 while they play while you wait feature, which is a great feature for 2v8. But as it is with any mode that comes out, it massively inflates the queue times of the regular mode because no one plays it for that time. And so I was like, okay, I'll wait out the 2v8. It's going to be over in a couple days, and then I'll start the streak. And then, as always with 2v8, it gets extended. Now, I'm not a big fan of the 2v8 mode. I like playing killer in the 1v4 mode. I play Survivor in the 1v4 mode very casually, and playing 2v8 for me is I just play Survivor games for the 5 times blood point modifier right now, which has been like 5 times blood point modifier on the 2v8 Survivor side for like 5 days now. Just to get like blood points and at least play the game a little bit, do the dailies, I've played a couple killer matches here and there in between when I had like a weekly or something for a killer specific challenge, something along those lines. But overall, I don't enjoy the mode very much. I feel like it's very brain off kind of for me. I just sort of run around, do things, not really thinking about it. And in 1v4 I tend to think a lot more about where I need to be right now, and it's maybe manageable more with just having 4 survivors to think about instead of 8, when 4 survivors is already quite a lot. So 2v8 got extended, and I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just keep farming some blood points. If I do want to wait the long queue times, I can practice the animatronic, the ghoul, and some more, and go back to killers that got changed, play Freddy a little bit, play the Skull Merchant a little bit, see how she is now, since I haven't touched her since I did her episode, and she's been reworked like, 2 times since then, and she's set to get another one somewhere next year. And then, yesterday, or 2 days ago, I think it was yesterday, we obviously got this big update plan thing with the developer update for the upcoming PTB, which comes up on Tuesday, I think, with, of course, the slugging reduction update and the tunneling reduction update, and a couple of new things, the Myers rework, and with some things that I agree with here and there, and some things that I don't really agree with here and there, and some things that are a little bit troubling if they go live this way, but of course we don't know the numbers yet, so we'll have to see about that. I was like, yeah, I'm not starting this streak challenge until this patch that is coming to PTB has entered the live servers. And I mean that by all sense of the word. I'm drawing this out. I am not gonna start this streak when in 3 weeks time, I think, is gonna be like, you're gonna have the PTB this week and then 2 weeks later it comes to live maybe with the new killer. Or we're gonna have this week PTB, 2 weeks the killer comes to PTB, and then 1 more week and then all of that comes to live. I'm not quite sure, honestly. How long they will give these specific updates time to test for. And obviously by the time that these changes do come live, we might have the new killer out. And then as my question, do I start the streak and then add that killer to the streak later? Do I do the baby killer episode first and then start the streak after? And I just kind of wanted to update it. And since I've been alluding to this streak thing that I wanted to do, this challenge that I wanted to do for a while now, and I really want to do it to challenge myself, to improve more, and to give myself an incentive to play killer, since I find it hard to just play killer without a reason, you know, put myself through the pressure of playing killer, of doing well on killer, for a reason. I find it hard to like play killer and play for a win for no reason. So if I'm doing a tome, let's say, where I have to play the doctor and I have to put 3 survivors into madness tier 2, I'm just gonna play doctor and I'm gonna be super casual and play for those tier 2s, and once I have the challenge I just kind of turn my brain off and just run around, chase survivors a little bit, and like I don't really play for the win. If my tome challenge is to sacrifice 4 survivors in one trial, then I'm gonna sweat my balls off and get a 4K if I need to. And that gives me the reason to do that. And otherwise I don't really have a reason to kill survivors. If I just want to have fun, I want the other players to have fun as well. So I'm gonna run a Mimi build and hope that I get 8 hooks and then all 4 of the survivors can get out. I don't really care. So with this streak, I'm giving myself an incentive to play killer more, to improve on the killers, and just also see how far I can go with a streak, since I've never really attempted one quite as grand as this one that I want to attempt before. I've done a couple of personal streaks, trying to get to 10 wins in a row on some characters, and I think I did it on Clown, I did it on Spirit, and I think I did it on Nemesis. Let alone that oftentimes in the Baby Killer series, I don't show all the matches. I sometimes skip over a few matches, because sometimes there's a match where I win in 4 minutes, and sometimes there's a match where I lose in 4 minutes, and nothing really interesting happens. There's no like showing of how I learn to deal with those situations or how I improve in those situations, so that's why I usually skip those. And then sometimes there's just matches where I just 4K them with 5 gens remaining, but the match takes 11 minutes because they're running around doing nothing and they're just letting me play the game, and I find that boring to watch. So I'm hoping with the streak we're gonna get exciting matches, because the more we win, the higher the MMR on that specific killer is gonna be, and the more games I play, obviously the more maybe I'll figure out tactics, techs, mechanics of the game that I didn't really think about before, and then it's also gonna force me to think about how I want to play a map more. If I find I struggle with some maps, think about how I can play those maps better, what I can do to shake up my looping, become better at mind game, and how to mind game with specific killers, you know, how to use their powers to put pressure on them without actually causing a detriment to myself by either slowing myself down or giving the survivors an opportunity to stun me and run away. And yeah. And obviously if I do start the streak now, let's say I get a 5-win streak on Myers, and I do that by popping tier 3 and downing 3 survivors in a row and just chasing the 4th one down, I can't do that anymore with these changes that are coming to PTB. if they remain the way that they sound now, obviously we don't have the numbers, like all the numbers, I can't do that anymore. I can still pop a tier 3 on Myers, but it's gonna be completely different. And I can still down people. And especially with the anti-tunneling update that we have maybe coming, you have the penalty for sacrificing someone that you hooked just before. So tunneling someone off of second hook to death, and sacrificing someone before 6 total hook states. And sometimes, and I'm very sure a lot of people will agree with me on this, and I know a lot of people talked about this already on their YouTube channels, on Reddit, in the community forums, wherever you look, that lower tier killers will absolutely suffer from this. Those killers that sometimes need to tunnel someone to get a foothold in the game before they lose all 5 gens. And they might lose 3 gens before they get to tunnel that person out. And by that time, it's still a 3v1, which is better for the killer than a 4v1. But there's only 2 gens left to complete, and reasonably, one of the survivors can loop the killer while the other 2 repair the last 2 gens. And even then, with 2 gens remaining in the 3v1, the survivors still have a very good chance of getting a 3-man escape. And they have a very good chance of still drawing with a 2-man escape. If the last person gets face camped on last hook and the other 2 get out, you know? Something like that. And that's going to be a lot harder then. So when I start the streak and then like 10 games into the streak, all these changes come out and I have to readapt how I play killer, the strategies I use for the lower killers, which I might have been incentivized with to tunnel early on. Not that I tunnel, but I try my best not to, but sometimes, and I've done it in a couple of the baby killer episodes, I feel like the game is getting out of my hands and I need to get someone killed to grab a foothold. And with the new system, it seems like killers will absolutely be punished for that. Now, I agree with the system in the term of if I tunnel somebody out at 5 gens, and it's a 3v1 at 5 gens, that is absolutely horrible for the survivors, and there's barely anything they can do. But if I am forced to tunnel someone out because I'm on my last generator and I need someone dead to maybe build some pressure and hopefully snowball, that's very rough, and I can't even down them, you know, and I might have to sacrifice someone before I've reached 6 total hook states. And there's this whole consensus about survivors could just rat and just leave the guy that is dead on hook and has been the last survivor that was hooked in the open, so the killer is forced to down them and hook them and suffered both the penalties of the survivors getting faster repairs and the killer no longer be able to regress or block generators, because the other 3 survivors just hid for as long as they had to until that happened. And people have already predicted that Survive with Friends will go 3-mans instead of 4-mans and just sacrifice the solo player and let them die off of first hook in the hopes that they get the faster repair speed. But I think Scott Jund, I watched a video of his earlier, he said that if that's the case, then it's a 3v1 and most killers should win a 3v1 at 5 gens. And then you obviously have the few base kit changes that incentivize not tunneling, which is a small movement speed buff where we don't know the numbers yet, a barbecue and chili-like effect for survivors that have equal or less hook states, and also no clear numbers on that, if that's aura, if it's killer instinct, if it's a location like rancor, like just a bubble of where they were in that moment. If lockers will counter it, or if it's an aura that it goes through the locker and you'll see people hiding because otherwise it's useless. And, you know, some of these effects being less effective for killer and more effective for some killers and more effective for other killers, with like Nurse, Blight, Hillbilly, Dracula, those getting less benefit from these effects. But if it's a very small movement speed increase, even the low tier killers will not benefit from it. A Huntress will still be 4.4. The Deathslinger will still be 4.4. So there's a lot of going on. There's a lot of discussions about it. I'm very excited to see the actual numbers coming when the patch goes to PTB. I'll definitely read through them. I'll keep up to date with it. And if those things come live, I'll get a little bit of practice in with those new stuff, and then I'll upload the rule video for the streak, and that officially means that the streak challenge has started. Now, with all that being said, that was my short 15-minute rant about the update coming out and the future of my streak that I want to start. And I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, which is gonna be the baby animatronic. Alright, okay, thanks, bye, see ya.